Guys, we're back for another exciting episode of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, and I'm a little tired because this week the LPGA Tour is here at Tiburon Golf Club, and it's just sun up to sundown every day. But I am excited for tonight's guest. One, we only have a couple of more episodes in season 2, and I'm excited that tonight's guest could come on the show because, one, I've been trying to get her on the show for the last couple of months, and it just so happened to work out that on my way home tonight, Scott from Eat Sleep Golf was like, hey, we got a guest. So fantastic to have her on the show. She works for the PGA Tour. She runs PGA Tour Live, and if you've ever paid any attention to the PGA Tour social media accounts, you'll know her name, you'll know her face. Teryn Schaefer is with us from the PGA Tour and PGA Tour Live. I could explain what she does, but it's more fun to have her do it. Last week, so no pressure, last week's guest, I said, give us an elevator pitch of what you do. 15 minutes later, he was done. So hopefully your elevator pitch of what you do isn't 15 minutes long. But first off, welcome to the show, and tell us what you are, what you do, and what your role is at the PGA Tour.
Thanks for having me, Ricky. Yeah, I am a host, producer, and reporter for the PGA Tour. So my work spans many different platforms, from the 2 shows that I do on basically social media and digital on our website. That is The Takeaway, which our first episode of the week will be tomorrow night. We recap each night after play ends what happened that day in the PGA Tour tournament. And then I have a show on Mondays called Trending on Tour, which wraps up all the fun and wacky and weird things that happen on social media and in pop culture and golf. And there's plenty of that these days. So it's a lot of fun. And like I said, those are on PGAtour.com, on all of our PGA Tour social media channels. And then I also do work for PGA Tour Live, which is our live stream service. You can watch golf on Thursdays and Fridays right when you roll out of bed instead of waiting until the Golf Channel's broadcast comes on at like 4 o'clock or something like that in the afternoon. So I do work for them. And then I also just do a lot of video work. So actually, I literally just got back to my house about 10 minutes before this interview from Sea Island, where we were doing some shoots up there at the RSM Classic. So I don't think that was quite 15 minutes, but yeah, a lot of different things. I'm
impressed because in that span of whatever couple of minutes that was, you explained that you do a lot and you wear a lot of hats. So now let's talk about your journey to the PGA Tour. Like, where did that start? You've got a pretty impressive resume. So how did you get from college? You're a Midwesterner, so I'm from Indiana originally, so we'll have that connection, which is cool. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But how'd you get from college to, I mean, pretty much a dream job, right? Working for the tour, and I mean, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, it's completely a dream job. You're so right. My journey to the tour, though, started well before my career did. You know, I picked up a golf club about 13 years old for the first time seriously. Like, I guess I had been to a few kids camps or what have you before then, but played golf in high school and went off to the University of Missouri to their journalism school there, and never put the clubs down. You know, always played for fun growing up and for fun all through college, but didn't play competitively at that point. But like I said, went to the University of Missouri Journalism School, worked at a local TV station, an NBC affiliate, while I was in school there as anything that they would let me do. Started off as a cameraman for high school football, and then just kind of took off from there. And after that, I'm from St. Louis originally. So after college, I went back home to St. Louis, and I was a freelancer for a little while. I actually was a sports editor at my hometown newspaper to start out, and then eventually started landing freelance gigs here and there, and was a sideline reporter for the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Ended up getting a commercial hosting gig for Fox Sports Midwest, which allowed me to do a lot of different things with all of the different sports teams there in St. Louis and in the Midwest. And then that led me to being the official reporter for the St. Louis Cardinals on their digital side. So from there, that's whenever I sort of got in touch with CBSSports.com, and so left everything behind in St. Louis and made the trip down to Florida. They're based out of Fort Lauderdale, and so was working for CBSSports.com. And that's really when I got my first opportunity to do golf coverage. So Kyle Porter's a very well-respected guy in the golf world, and rightfully so. Did videos with him, did a few golf shoots at some different golf courses for CBS, and that kind of led me to the job whenever Amina Balionis left the PGA Tour to go work with Callaway. That opened up the door, and I said, I have to go after this. So now I'm going on a little over a year and a half. So this is going to be my second full season with the tour. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. You're right. I've had a lot of great opportunities and have done a lot of cool things, both in golf and just in sports in general.
That's awesome. And I've been trying to get Amanda on the show too. And actually, I was trying to get her on the show last season when she was still with the tour. So now I got to get her on the show. How fun would that be if she comes on, like, you were on first, like, hey, I'm sorry, but the new year came on before you. So that's in Troon with Callaway. So actually, I saw Chris Strauss, my old boss, and a whole bunch of guys from the corporate office were at Callaway today. So they were on the Callaway live set, and it was pretty cool that they were posting that and then that segue. So that's pretty neat, and that's cool that you were able to go from, you know, reporting on, you know, not small sports, but I mean, compared to where you are now, what you're doing with the tour, like, that's a pretty impressive jump. So that's cool that you've been able to do that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So RSM Classic, now they have the wiffle ball match. Were you there for that? What was that like? And just kind of recap what you are doing with that event.
Yeah, I was there last night. It was the annual Wives versus Players wiffle ball game. That was my second year in a row covering that. You know, we do some serious business at the PGA Tour, the wiffle ball game, but it's fun. It's good bragging rights for the guys. And I actually did a Facebook Live for the PGA Tour during that. So we were out there in the middle of the action on the field interviewing players while they were out there fielding, and did a little play-by-play through back to my baseball days. So excuse me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's great. They raise money for charity. The PGA Tour Wives Association does a fantastic job in every community that they touch. You know, every stop, every week, they do something special. So that was one of their bigger events, though, of the year on the tour. And the RSM Classic is fun. It's laid back. A lot of those guys live there at Sea Island, and it's a few of them, their last hurrah before the holidays come through. So this is a fun event, and Sea Island is such a cool course. The backdrop is stunning there. It's just this course right there on the ocean, on the intercoastal, and it's fantastic. The driving range, some of those views. I mean, I saw the views from the Liberty National driving range, and those were pretty good.
Yeah,
and,
those are pretty good too.
Those are pretty good. And out there on the West Coast, they've got some pretty awesome views from their driving ranges too. But this one's up there.
That's really fun. Like wiffle ball and golf, like, that's just such a cool.
They take it so seriously.
Oh, I'm sure.
Zach Johnson was playing first base last night, and he was like yelling at his teammates, and he was taking it seriously. The players have won 4 years in a row now, and they really they hold that high. They hold that very high.
So you're not actually from St. Louis. I read that, you know, that's just the closest city that people have heard of. I'm from a small town in Indiana, so I usually say Indianapolis, and then we go backwards from there. So I can relate to that. Now, my buddy Dan, who is a very active member of the Google Plus golf community, which is actually what started this whole show many, many moons ago, he's a huge Cardinals fan. Being from St. Was you a Cards fan?
Are you there, Ricky? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Good.
Sorry.
I was like a good little spiel right there. So my buddy Dan, he's my golf pro. He's a good friend of mine. He's a humongous Cardinals fan, and I know that you're from the St. Louis area. So are you a Cards fan?
I am, yes. Even though I grew up on the Illinois side, it's only like 20 minutes from St. Louis. I'm a huge Cardinals fan. Grew up, it's in my blood. You know, everyone in that area, we all are diehard Cardinals fans. And, you know, like I said, I used to even work for the Cardinals too. So talk about some dream jobs. I'm a pretty lucky girl.
I was going to say, yeah.
I've been able to work for my, you know, hometown team, and then now for the PGA Tour. So love the Cardinals. Hopefully we get some key players and make some big moves here this off season. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm lucky that I've been able to work for these organizations. But, you know, it's a lot of hard work too that goes into landing gigs like that.
Absolutely. So the hashtag Wednesday Match Play is presented by Eat Sleep Golf. I hope they're watching because we've just like listed off a handful of guests that we should have on. Amanda Balionis, you better be watching. You better come on the show next. And what they always send, and it's kind of funny. So they send in questions, right? They always send in almost too many. And tonight I got 2 emails of questions. So there are a lot of questions from them. And one of the questions they had was, you were recently a part of the Walked In Alzheimer's. Tell us a little bit more about your experience with that and what your connection is to that disease.
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's actually been something that I've recently gotten involved with the Alzheimer's Association in the past couple months. And it's been really, it's meant a lot to me. My grandfather passed away from Alzheimer's last year after a more than 10-year battle with the disease. So for me, this is just a great way to be able to give back to that community and that cause. And to, I mean, we don't have any sort of cure, any way to prevent Alzheimer's, or any way to slow down the progression of the disease once you're diagnosed with it. So to be able to help use my platform to draw some attention to it and to shed some light on what people go through to hopefully help find a cure for this has been fantastic. And the Walk to End Alzheimer's, that was my first time ever being a part of it. And I got to MC the event, which was an honor in itself. And, you know, I get up every day and talk in front of the camera, but it's pretty rare that I am almost about ready to cry doing it. So it was very emotional. And then it's very empowering to see everybody come out and be a part of the walk.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Now, Scott made a good point, and I didn't realize this until he said it, and then I realized it later. So you were in Naples last year. My first week as a resident, you were in Naples for at the time, the Franklin Templeton Shootout. It's now the QBE Shootout, Greg Norman's event here at Tiburon Golf Club, where I work. What was your experience like for that? Was that your first event? Are you coming back this year? Kind of just a recap of what that was like to be down here. I know that you hosted the Teryns party at the Ritz-Carlton Golf Resort in Naples. So just kind of recap that whole thing. And are we going to see you here in December in Naples?
Yeah, that was so much fun. I love doing that. The guys, it's a different event, you know, it's a team event. They get to partner up. So that was before we had the Zurich Classic, which was the first team event. And I don't know, it was, I think about 25, 30 years on the tour. So that was really cool to be a part of something like that last year. And parents' parties are fun. The guys kind of get to be out of their element. They get to shed that professional layer a little bit and kind of show their personalities. And then, oh my gosh, getting to meet Greg Norman was like, I'm not really starstruck that often because I've been able to be around a lot of athletes and they're people too. So, but that one was one of them that I was a little starstruck. And it was also really fun for me too because Lexi was there, and I don't interact with a lot of the female golfers just because I work specifically for the PGA Tour. So it was really cool to, you know, have some female athlete representation there as well. And she's in it again this year too. So that's cool and a lot of fun. And actually, isn't the event's been moved? The event's up in the Connecticut area now this year. So unfortunately, I won't be there.
No, it's not. It's here.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it not?
No, it's a Tiburon. Second week in December.
It is still down there. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was moved.
Work for the PGA Tour. You should know that.
I know.
Lexi,
you know what? They'll start to run together after a little while.
I'm sure, yeah.
It is still in Naples. Yeah. Sorry, my hair's got crossed there. No, I do know who. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who's hosting the parents' party. I don't know if it's
good, like breaking news live on the hashtag Wednesday Match Play. I think.
I don't know. Do you know who it is?
I don't know because we're so focused on the LPGA event right now. I haven't even started talking.
Oh, I can't even imagine what you're going through right now.
Oh, it's crazy. It's literally sun up to sundown and then some.
Yeah, tournament weeks are pretty crazy. But yeah, Boomer is going to be hosting it down there at the parents' party. So,
cool. Well, it's a good field too because they changed the way that he did it. So in the past, it's been the top 24 guys are invited, so back and forth, right? And this year he's got 9 new guys. He did the top 12 in the world and the top 12 or 12 that he invited. So Lexi's back, Bubba Watson's coming, Graham McDowell's in the field, Kevin Kisner. Like it's a pretty fun field. So it's going to be a neat event again. I mean, it's always a fun event, right? But this year it's going to be fun. So
it's really fun. And one thing I do last year, I have never hosted an event on a pool. So they literally put out this glass platform over the pool. So you look down and you're like walking on water. Literally walking on water. And I remember thinking to myself, this is kind of trippy, like having to get up here with the lights going on and looking down. I'm like, I hope I don't fall or trip or something.
So when they were building that, I was over there watching them kind of build that, and I was like, guys, that's a little aggressive, right? Like they're going to be like standing in the water, and it worked out, right? And
it was really cool.
Point about Norman. Norman is such a great guy, and he designed both courses at Tiburon, and he's at Tiburon quite a bit, and with his event, obviously, and he oversaw both of the gold and the black course remastering projects. So he's been on property more over the last couple of years. So it's been cool to get to see him and get to know him a little bit, just with, I mean, he's so down to earth, right? And he just, takes pictures with fans and just, and he's ripped. Like, I was
going to say, and he takes pictures without his shirt on and puts them on Instagram too.
Yes, I almost wonder.
He should be very proud. He should be very proud to be, that age and looking that good.
Absolutely.
He's got a lot to be proud of there.
So you have a tree named after you. There's got to be a story for that. Tell me about that.
My great-grandmother was very into gardening, and actually all of us great-grandchildren have like our own flowers that she like cross-pollinated and made different color irises and all that kind of stuff. And she did a few of us, she did trees for. I'm not sure why some of us were picked for that. I don't know if she had favorites and didn't want to tell people, but anyway, so the tree was planted the day that I was born. And so she named it after me, and she like I don't know how any of that stuff works, and made her own I shouldn't say species, but like subspecies of tree. And then whenever my parents built their house that my childhood home that I grew up in, they then planted, moved the tree to that house. So still standing there in the yard, the Teryn Lee tree.
So you love to travel, obviously, with your role at the PGA Tour. You got to travel. So where are some of the best places that you've visited, whether for the tour or indifferent? And what are some of the places that you haven't been that you're looking to go to in the future?
Yeah, I'm so lucky that I've gotten to travel a lot for my job, and it definitely is a fun part of my job. I'm pretty lucky too in the fact that I have a good balance of it too. I don't travel every single week. Some of those people on the golf circuit, they're out there almost every week of the year. I mean, the people that make the tour tick are troopers. They are hard workers, and they do a lot. So traveling can be a little difficult, but for me, I get to have a little bit more fun, and I don't have to be out there every week. But not that I wouldn't like to. That's fun too. But oh my gosh, I've been to a lot of different tournaments already. Torrey Pines was phenomenal to be out there for that last year. Waste Management, Phoenix Open. That's just crazy bucket list sporting event. Whether you're a golf fan or not, you got to check that one out. What are some other places? Even going to Dallas Cowboys Stadium to Jerry World for the Cotton Bowl whenever I was covering Mizzou football was pretty phenomenal. That is one of those sporting venues that just like takes your breath away whenever you go in there. So that was really neat. I don't know. Liberty National was insane for the President's Cup this past fall here. So those are some pretty top-notch places. And then honestly, being able to cover the Players Championship right here in my backyard at TPC Sawgrass is just an honor to do that as well. And it's pretty neat to be able to drive out there any day that I want. That's definitely another thing that I should be thankful for working here at the tour. The TPC Sawgrass, when you drive up that lane and you kind of come around, they just recently redid the entrance there, and you kind of come around the bend, and then the giant clubhouse just reveals itself.
That clubhouse is awesome, though. That's an awesome clubhouse.
It is crazy. I have to say that I've not yet been to Augusta. That's definitely on my bucket list, and I hope to make that happen. here maybe this year. That would be pretty cool to go in April. But I have to say that from what I've heard other people talk about, that drive up Sawgrass is just right below Magnolia Lane. I mean, that's how big of a deal that is. So that's really neat.
So if you go to the Masters in 18, I mean, Tiger's going to win, just so you know. So you'll be there to see, his next major championship. I don't know if Scott told you, but I am Tiger's biggest fan. So we'll talk about that here. One of the back nine questions. So we'll get to that in a little bit. So you have a blog on your website. I'm a blogger. I write all the time. How often are you writing and posting to your blog?
I try and do it every week. I try and reveal my blog posts on Tuesdays. Call it Tea Time Tuesdays. I call my blog Tea Time because people call me T. But yeah,
Teryn's too short.
Exactly right. You do read my blog. I love it. So yeah, I try and do it every week. Sometimes whenever we're in the heat of the season, it's kind of difficult for me to do that. But I wish I could do it even more than once a week. I love writing. That's why I got into journalism in general. So, so yeah, I started out in English class. That's how I should have started my career pitch to you in English class, writing papers. But yeah, I love to write. So my blog's kind of an outlet to do that. And I get to, like you said, there's so much that goes on beyond the tournament that people don't see and that we get to do as we travel. So I try and share some of those fun travel adventures off the course and outside of work and our daily activities.
That's awesome. So you are very active on Twitter and a handful of the networks, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. What's your favorite network and why?
Instagram is definitely my favorite. I'm a very visual person. I love photos, and the Instagram stories are so much fun, and you can go live on Instagram now too. So it's kind of got it all packed into one there for me. So Instagram's great, and people are a lot nicer on Instagram.
Well, they're not nice on Facebook. They're a little bit nicer on Twitter, and you're right. They're very nice on Instagram. That's a good way to look at that. I have the last 3 things I posted to Facebook I've had to delete because of how mean people that are my friends are. It's awful. So now you work for the PGA Tour, so you don't follow the LPGA Tour professionally necessarily, but do you follow it personally? And if so, CME Group Tour Championship is this week. My life for the next 5 days is wrapped around that at Tiburon. Who do you think is going to win? Are you following the LPGA Tour as much as you follow the PGA Tour, or do you just let that kind of go by?
Definitely can't say that I follow it as much as the PGA Tour, and not because I don't want to, and not because it's not a great product. And those girls out there are phenomenal, and they're my heroes, and I wish I could be as good of golfers as they are. But yeah, honestly, it's just all encompassing what I'm doing with the PGA Tour. So sometimes it's a little difficult for me to keep up with it. I'm not sure who's all in the field there this week, but I'm assuming it's all of the top players.
It is. Lexi's here, Brooke Henderson, Michelle Wee. I mean, you name it. I mean,
yeah.
Fang's in it. I mean, it's everybody that you could think that should be here is here. That's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to see.
Michelle, I feel race right now too. So if she wins this week, she wins the race to the globe.
That would be really cool. And Lexi's a great face for the sport of golf in general, not just women's golf. She's a great face for golf. A lot of people could probably put her. Obviously, Cobra Puma does a good job of picking their athletes. There are people that are out there in the forefront. So her and Ricky are definitely two great faces for golf. So yeah, that would be fantastic to see her win. What was really neat was seeing how well some of our events over in Asia did, and particularly our premier event over in South Korea, the CJ Cup this fall here. And to them it's nothing new because a lot of the female players from South Korea do so well on the LPGA Tour. So it was cool. They were like, finally, we had the men come over here. The women have been doing so well. And so hopefully we'll see some more, South Korean men doing well here on the PGA Tour as well. So kind of hand it to those guys. But, oh, man, what's your prediction for this week? You think Lexi's going to take it off?
I don't know. I don't think she plays well here. I mean, last year she played at both the events and she didn't play super good. You know, I think that the field is so deep. Like there's 5 girls that if they win this week, they win the cup, right? Or win the Globe. And I mean, Brooke Henderson's playing good. I saw her yesterday on the range and today in the clubhouse, and she's relaxed and fun and just, you know, it's going to be fun to watch because like last year, Charlie Hall shot 19 under, which was a tournament scoring record, which that's ridiculous. My lowest score on the golf course is 73, and I'm like 19 under. Like I'm a little way off from 19 under, but it's just it's fun to see the energy at the club, see the girls walking around. And Michelle Wee was so funny today after her round. She was in the pro-am today, and she's just walking around in flip-flops and socks and just like, I mean, it's a different vibe than like what I've seen at tour events because, you know, the fans care and the fans know who the players are, but it's different. It's more relaxed and it's just a better, more fun vibe, I think, than some tour events that I've been to. And that's not saying anything against the PGA Tour at all. It's just different. And
no, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a different way to experience a tournament. So now speaking of the tour, do you ever see tour players walking around the office? Like does Phil Mickelson just like walk by your desk? I mean, what's that like?
Yeah, it's just like those Sports Center commercials. You know, they're there working the desk and hanging out with us. And no,
that would be awesome if that was the case. Like that would be cool.
I've never seen any of them in the office unless they're there for, you know, like a shoot or something specific. But a lot of the guys you will see randomly at TPC Sawgrass practicing there. So, you know, every now and then you'll see them. We have a phenomenal practice facility, and they're obviously all members. It's the home of the players there at TPC Sawgrass. So yeah, sometimes you'll just drive by or walk by the range on your way to go play, and you know there'll be like BJ Singh out there hitting balls, and
that dude hits balls. Like that's all he does is just grind. Like that guy hits a lot of golf balls.
Yes, he does, and he's got his own parking spot there at TPC Sawgrass or what have you. So yeah, you see a lot of guys. Actually, last week there were several guys out there early week that were trying to get in a few rounds before the second stage of qualifying school took place. There were several sites here in Florida, so a lot of them stopped by and were warming up there. So it was kind of cool to see these guys out there grinding away, trying to realize their dream. And, you know, Q school was intense, man. So that was neat to see those guys out there. And then I think what I heard one of my friends said they saw Pat Kazire at the Performance Center on Monday. So he won late Sunday night in Mayakoba, flew here somewhere, and you know got in his practice, and then went up to Sea Island. He's up there right now preparing for this week. So it's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. I did a photo shoot with Adidas and Jessica Korda yesterday out on the black course. We have a awesome bridge on our black course, and they were doing a shoot there, and she was complaining about the jet lag. She's, you know, like she was overseas for 5-6 weeks or whatever in Asia, and just flies from Asia to Southwest Florida, and now she's got to perform. And I couldn't even imagine what that schedule's like. Like my alarm goes off at 7 o'clock, right? That's a struggle, you know. It's a little bit different of a
so and the LPGA, they travel more broadly all over the world than the PGA Tour players do, unless they're on the European Tour as well. But yeah.
So I didn't tell you before we went live, this was going to fly by. Like we got like a minute left. So before I let you go, we got 2 things left. I got one more question because it's very relevant to my role when I was in the Troon corporate office. But then we have this segment called the Back Nine. But so trending on tour. When I was in the corporate office, we developed this segment called #trending at Troon. Very similar. It was focused on things happening at Troon properties, hole-in-ones, new general manager announcements, PGA Tour, European Tour events, etc. So very similar, right? And you're a part of that. So what is that like? How often are you doing trending on tour? And kind of what was the foundation of that program for you?
So that show is actually already in place whenever I came to the PGA Tour. So I just kind of slid into hosting and writing that. But yeah, I write that show. I'm the one that's pulling all that stuff. I'm on social media probably too much. And
me too.
Yeah. And so those are all things that I'm seeing throughout the week on social media. So I constantly am pulling, you know, different links off of all the different platforms, things that catch my eye, anything from what the players are up to, fun stuff at the tournaments, and then, you know, just random golf news or trick shots. I follow so many people, so many trick shot artists on Instagram. Yeah, so that's just a compilation of an entire week's worth of Teryn going through social media at random times before bed, whenever I get up in the morning while I'm watching golf on the couch, what have you. So yeah, that's a week's worth of my social media indulgence.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. The back nine is just fun. 9 random questions about you. You are a golfer, so some of these are going to be relevant. Are you ready for your back nine?
Sure, let's do it.
What's your favorite PGA Tour event? And it can be a major, but it doesn't have to be.
That I've been to, or
in general, the favorite, I mean, that you've been to, the waste management. So funny story about that. When I lived in Scottsdale, there was one green, a road, and then my apartment. Like I literally could hit a wedge from my living room to that green. And I miss living so close to that event, like 4 days a year, right? But it's an incredible event. Like there are people that go to that tournament that don't even know what golf is. Like it's a party.
Don't even watch a golf shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I would have to say, not counting the Masters, the Travelers Championship, I've been there 2 years in a row. Jim Furyk shot a 58, and then Jordan Spieth holed out from the bunker during a playoff. I don't know how you can top that.
That's pretty good. 58.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that 58 is that people are like, oh, well, yeah, but it was a par 70. Yeah, guess what? He shot 58.
Guess what? That's the only one that's ever happened on the PGA Tour.
Be quiet. So let's have a drink. Beer, wine, whiskey. I got wine in my cup tonight. I don't usually have wine on Wednesdays, but it felt like the right choice.
Wine Wednesdays. I
wine on Wednesdays.
I don't discriminate really. I like most drinks.
Awesome. I don't discriminate. I like most drinks.
But yeah, give me a nice glass of wine. Give me a good margarita. Bud Light's my favorite.
Oh, I'm a craft beer guy. Don't say that.
No, I grew up in St. Louis. I'm an Anheuser-Busch girl.
All right. I'm gonna allow that.
So that, and I do like whiskey. If I had to pick a liquor, I would go with whiskey.
Good call. That's probably the best answer we've had to that question. So don't say The Legend of Bagger Vance, but what is your favorite golf movie?
Happy Gilmore. Good
answer. That or Tin Cup. Either one of those, I allow those. All right.
Caddyshack's my second, but Tin Cup's that's my third.
Now, I just got back from Scotland, and have you seen Tommy's Honor? Have you watched that yet?
I haven't, but I've heard great things about it.
Mm-hmm. Watch it.
Yeah, I need to.
What is your home course? Where do you play the most golf? And if you say TPC Sawgrass, that's not fair.
The answer is TPC Sawgrass, but it's actually Dyes Valley at TPC Sawgrass. So not the stadium course. I don't get to, not when they limit play on and everything, and rightfully so. But Dyes Valley, and it is just as hard, let me tell you, as a stadium course. So it makes me feel like I'm a terrible golfer.
On that island green tee, though, it's like, oh, it's a 9-iron, no big deal. Like, whatever. Like, it's a gigantic green. Like, just hit a 9-iron in the middle. Like, it looks so hard on TV, but that's a big green. I don't know.
Just, yeah, it's intimidating with all the water, but you're right. Like, it's a huge green. It's not, theoretically, it's not as hard as it is, but it's still hard.
Who is in your perfect foursome?
Ooh, my perfect foursome. Definitely have to put my dad in there for sure. Got to put my dad. My fiance would definitely go in there. Him and I golf together all the time. Am I supposed to be picking famous people, or I can pick them?
I don't know. Your fourth? I don't care who's in it. Because my perfect foursome is Tiger. That's it.
Yeah, I gotta put just Tiger.
I don't need the other two guys.
That would be so intimidating to play golf with Tiger.
I would do it in a heartbeat, and I don't care if I would maybe almost top every shot so I could spend more time with the guy.
There you go. Just take as many
rounds. Sorry, Tiger. I played bad today.
Yeah. So my dad, my fiance, Tiger Woods, definitely goes in there. Gosh, who else?
Well, that's 4. You're the fourth.
Can I just have 4 people and I would just be fine, like hanging out?
You just drive the cart, and you don't need to play. Don't worry about that.
Exactly.
So I'm a huge foodie. I love food. What is your favorite restaurant where you are? There's a bunch of good restaurants right around where you guys are based. So what's your favorite restaurant?
Gosh, that's so hard. Yeah, I love food too. Love food. I love seafood. There's this place not too far down the road from TPC Sawgrass called Lulu's. And it is so much fun. It's right on the intercoastal. Yeah, write it down. Lulu's Waterfront Grill. So it's
I'm not
right
there
on
often, but I'm there enough that I'm going to write it down.
It's right there on the intercoastal waterway, so you can just kind of eat your popcorn shrimp and get the nice view. And actually, have you been to Nona Blue at all? There's one there now by Sawgrass. It's Graham McDowell's restaurant, and it's really good.
So Graham's a huge beer guy, right? So he's coming
Yeah.
to the shootout. So I'm going to try to get in front of him and just talk about craft beer. So then I'll be like, "Hey, craft beer," and then I heard, seafood, right? But funny story. So the last time that I was at TPC Sawgrass, and I don't want to admit this. I admitted yesterday on Facebook that I love Nickelback, and this is about as bad as that comment.
I like Nickelback.
Okay, thank you.
I also like Creed. I'm one of those people.
I love Creed. So funny story. Total.
We just became best friends, Ricky.
Total side story. I'm from Indiana originally. I have not been in Indy for God, I don't know how many years. I had a radio station personality see my Facebook post and ask me to come on their show to talk about it. Like, it was awesome, right? And so I went on the radio and I was talking about my love of Nickelback. So, but in the same vein, the last time I was at TPC Sawgrass, we couldn't figure out where we wanted to go. And I was like, oh, let's go this place or this place. There was like 6 of us. We went to Outback. Really? Outback. Like, come on. So
there's so many good places right there. I know. And even TPC Sawgrass is phenomenal food. Their mahi, or their grouper sandwich, is to die for. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I had the Outback special. I don't want to talk about it. So you work for the PGA Tour. Do you follow the LPGA Tour very much? I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but like, are you watching to see who's playing? Like, kind of, I would think that it would be similar. I don't know, like from a professional stance, that it's the big brother, right, or the big sister. But are you watching? Do you follow a lot of the PGA Tour on your own?
I do watch whenever I can. A lot of times, honestly, their broadcasts are on whenever I'm working. So it's kind of really hard for me to catch them playing, unless they're like in Asia and they're playing overnight. I'm sleeping at that point. So I have to admit that I should watch more LPGA golf than I do. But it's sometimes a little difficult for me to watch other sports just because golf's on all day long, and then I'm working after golf's over doing my show, recapping that. I also do highlights for the other tours. So I am so immersed in PGA Tour, it's not even funny.
That's awesome. It is the greatest game ever played, though. So, I mean, being part of this sport is a pretty special place to be, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, Scott may or may not have teed you up, no pun intended, for this question. This is very important how you answer this question. I am Tiger's biggest fan. He is all around me. My car is red and black because he wears red on Sunday, and I'm not kidding. Do you think Tiger breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
No.
Oh, that sucks.
I don't think he does. I'm sorry. But I don't think he breaks it, but I still think that he is the best golfer of all time.
That is the best answer to that question, because yes, he is. Now, why don't you think he breaks it, though? Before you answer that, let me preface it. If he is healthy for 7 more years, 7 more years at the level of health that he was from 98 to 2014, does that change your answer? If he stays healthy?
But staying healthy does not make his back what it was, though. So that's my whole thing, is that even if he is completely healthy, his back is still never going to be what it was. And I mean, he's even talked about that here recently. So I just think, he's not, going to be the big hitter that he once was. Hopefully,
Ricky Fowler said, like, yesterday, he's hitting the ball past me on the range. Like, he's I don't know. I know.
Yeah, it's like, what can we believe? What are we supposed to know? I don't think Tiger knows yet either, so that's part of it too. But we'll see what happens here at the Hero World Challenge, and that again is not gonna predict the future for us either. I think we have to let him ease back into this. I think that's a lot of ground left for him to make up on Jack, and I just think that he played the game so I don't know if violently is the correct word, but like, you know,
Aggressive.
his swing was, you know, it's just more difficult on the body, and a lot of, I mean, Jason Day's even talked about that nowadays. Like,
Day's like 25 and is already having back problems.
Yeah, I mean, the longevity for guys like that is just not going to be like it was back in Jack's day. But I mean, thank you to everything that Jack and even Arnold did for the game. We wouldn't be here without them. But I mean, what Tiger did, if you're going to talk about the most elite athletes of all time, Tiger is on that list. None of those guys are. I mean, like, he's the best and the greatest of all time, and I don't care if he breaks Jack's records or not. He is. That's my opinion.
Well, very few people answer that question in my favor, which is yes, he breaks it. Next question. But you redeemed yourself a little bit by saying he was the greatest golfer of all time. So I'm going to allow that answer to pass. So
hey, I hope he proves me wrong.
I do too, quite frankly. Yeah. And I had Chip Essig from the PGA Tour. I'm from the PGA of America, was on this show early in the season, like January, February, and he said that if Tiger wins one more major, the record's gone, that he'll break it. And I love that, because if Tiger just gets that one more major, and whether it's at Augusta next year, and that's not out of the possibility. I mean, the dude didn't forget how to play golf. Like, yeah,
I mean, honestly, if he's going to win any major, I think it's going to be the Masters. I mean,
it's going to be the Masters,
tailor-made for him.
Yeah.
If
I was his caddy, I would take his driver on Wednesday, break it, and say, you don't get to hit this week. I'm sorry. Hit your 3-1. So, and your final question of your hashtag Wednesday match play is, what's next? I mean, you're grinding to the PGA Tour. You got Teryns. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on, but what's next for you and your role at the PGA Tour?
I hope it continues to grow. Honestly, I hope that's what's next. I think that the PGA Tour Live mentality and philosophy is what's next, and is where this business is going. I am a cable cutter. I don't have cable. So I just think that is where it's at. I've been in digital now for about 4 years now. So I went from the TV side over to digital because I think that's where this is going. We get so much great feedback on PGA Tour Live, and tons of people love tuning in. We follow the biggest names in golf each week, and you see every single one of their shots, which is so cool. And yeah, I hope that my role continues to grow with them, and that you'll see me more on those live broadcasts, and getting out there and doing even more and growing the PGA Tour, the game of golf. And yeah, hopefully I can get involved. I need to get myself involved with the ladies a little bit more. You've really shown me that today. I couldn't answer those questions as much as I wish I could have.
Well, that's very cool. And everything that you're doing, I've been following it. I'll keep following it. And I hope everybody that's watching at home does the same. I will make sure to post both your website and the stuff that you're doing with the live PGA Tour Live in the description down below. Everybody at home, make sure you subscribe and share this to anywhere and everywhere. This is going to be on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, the whole 9 yards. It's also on iTunes. It's on Google Play. Anywhere you want to find the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, it's available. Teryn, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome. I know that you're not coming to Naples this year, but the next time you're down here to Southwest Florida, we're both Floridians now. I'm not up to that area as much, but you know, you've been down here. It's so funny that you were here like my first week as a resident. We didn't know each other then, but you know how the world turns. But thank you again for coming on the show. This has been awesome. And as always, on the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, is you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.